Hey guys, we're gonna automate the login to Jira. So here, let's go to Jira. Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. Looks like we have our email field and our continue button. Let's inspect these. Okay, so we have our input field. Oh, okay. So username ID. So it's always exciting to see ID that doesn't have auto-generated characters inside of it, because then it won't work every time you use it. So this is nice. So we could use the input, we could use ID, we could use an XPath that would build type, we could use the data test ID, the name, the placeholder, I mean any of these attributes, but you don't want to use anything that looks like this because that could change, it could be auto-generated. So okay, so let's go ahead, and then also we have our continue button. Oh, nice. So we want to be on the actual button. So you want to be on the button, the tag, you want to be on the button. And if you're using a field that you're entering text into, that's an input field. So you want to be on the input. So you don't want to be on the div or the label. So best practice is to actually use the input, tag, or the button. So let's go ahead and get our C# class that represents this page. So let's drag our C# Visual Studio over. And then what we're going to do is inside of pages, we're going to create a new page and we're going to call it Jira login page. So I'm going to take this template page here and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it. And we'll call this Jira login page. Copy that, paste that here. So the class needs to be named after the file, and then the constructor needs to be named after the class. So let's go ahead and add our elements here. So we want our, so I believe Jira called this the email field. So we'll say email field by. And I believe it was of type ID. And I believe it was just a username. So we'll do something similar here. Call this email field by, we'll just say email element. And we will name this one email field by, because this iWeb element needs the selector path inside of the by object. Okay, so now we do need the button, the continue button, or the login button. So let's double check. What was that called? Okay, it was called continue. So we will call this continue button. Continue button by, and then we'll call this continue button element. And this should be, let's take a look again. We're going to make sure we grab the button and not the div, because the div can contain the button. So let's grab this ID, login submit. I like to copy it because sometimes, you can accidentally make a typo and it's a silly thing to hunt down. Okay, so method that clicks something, let's give this a meaningful name. Let's say login to Jira. we are going to wait for our email field to appear. We are going to send keys. So here, let's parameterize this. So let's say username, name of element, say email. Actually, I'll change this to email. And we'll call this email element. And we want to send keys to it. And we're going to send in what we pass into the login to Jira method. So after that sends its keys, we are going to wait until visible for the continue button by. And then the continue button by element, we're going to click it. Okay. So that's about it for this page. Yep. So next, let's add our test. So let's go to our Solution Explorer. Let's minimize our pages. Let's go to our tests. Let's grab our example test. So this is what our example test looks like. If you've been following along in the series, I did change this teardown method. So this is going to be the technique going forward because it allows you to run all of them. If you're running one at a time, it's fine, but when you start running the whole suite, you need to really consider how the driver is being quit, disposed, and then reinitialized for other tests. So I can make a whole thing on that, but for now, just wanted to make that quick update if you've been following along. Okay, so we're going to grab this example test and we're going to paste it because we want to create our Jira tests. So Jira login test. And we'll take that name, Jira login test. We'll change our class because this class can't be duplicated. So you don't want a class that has the same name that's in the same namespace or in the same folder. So let's go ahead and change that. And then we need our, nope, that's all we have to change. So we do need to add our Jira page. And again, if you don't add the access modifier, it defaults to private. So you could add private or public. So if I just did, here's just an example. If I did variable page, I'll just VP. You can do that. They're both treated as private. But here, let's just do private Jira login page, and we'll call it Jira page. Okay. So now let's put some space here because our test method stuff is going to go here. So we'll do Jira and we'll say log into Jira, and then we'll pass in our username. So our username, let's say string fake email popular.com. Okay, so we'll pass in our email, and that really should be it. But before we do that, we need to change this URL from breaking the tech about, which you guys should check this out. I go into a lot more detail about how to set this up and just how to do more with it. So, but let's go ahead and grab our login URL and we'll replace this. Okay, so this will navigate to Jira. So this is the same as us typing into the address bar. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, now I don't recommend using thread.sleeps only for testing, like to test your test. But I'll put the thread.sleep in just to allow us to see what's going on and to give me a second to drag the window over because I'm not sharing the same window that it pops up on. So thread.sleep, I'll just do a second. And then you want to make sure you put it before your pass. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. Let's give it a meaningful name. So log into Jira test. Or actually here, let's do sign in to Jira test. All right, and let's click run test. So that should come up here in a second. Oh, here we go. Oh, it failed. Let's see why. So you failed because okay, so this means that I tried to reference an object without initializing it properly. So very likely I didn't pass in driver to the Jira page. Yep, that's exactly what happened. So I created my Jira page, but I didn't actually initialize it. So this is a very common error you'll run into. So whenever you see object reference not set to an instance of the object, that means you did not create a new instance of the object. You may be referencing it, but there's no declarative statement that's initializing the object. Okay, so let's go ahead and declare it, or initialize it at least. So let's do Jira page equals new Jira login page. So this is, we're going to reference the class. Okay, and then we are going to pass in our driver. All right, yeah, that's a good one. You guys will see that one a lot. So that's, if you see that, that's why. Okay, so let's run the test. Just give that a second to pop up. Drag it over. Yep, there we go. Nice. Okay, it did it quickly. Yep, there we go. So obviously if we had a proper username and password, that would work. And lastly, make sure when you are pushing your code, you guys are not keeping your thread.sleeps. So what I would do right now is I would commit my changes by, I would save all my changes, Control-Shift-S. I would do git add, then I would add my commit message, git commit -m, and then I would push my changes. So if you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments. But till next time, guys, thanks.